Gundam Latreia. Out of all the suits I've played thus far, and everything that's on the channel, are all the suits that I've played in this game. I really, there's a couple, one Char suit in particular, I think it's like the Gelgoog. I believe it's spelled Gelgoog. He's actually got a similar shade to the Latreia, but it's like a lighter crimson that almost shines as opposed to the darker one that's on the Latreia. I think they're both new type models. The Gelgoog has like a double-sided sword, and since it's an Infighter, I think it'll be compatible with the Beam Saber chip, but the Latreia Gundam, out of all the suits that I played with, and again, everything that's on the channel are the only suits that I played with, but save for the RGM-79, which I hope that's what it's called. It's it has the same shield as the RX-79, but it doesn't have the horns. You know, save for that and the Command Gundam, those are everything on the channel. Those are the only suits that I played with. This Gundam is the one I was most eager to play with and was the most difficult to unlock. I was able to beat the game level 88, but that was incredibly taxing, and but I felt like it was more than worth it. I do level up to level 15, and I do a handful of missions. I think the reason I can't tell you why this video is longer than all the other ones. I feel like that's just the way the kind of stars aligned. Making all these videos in retrospect was something I didn't think I would be doing, but I'm glad that I'm kind of doing it. I feel like this video is like the video that never was, or was never meant to be. I can't explain why this video is, you know, just way longer than the others. I felt like all the missions that I played with in this video were supposed to be. I do take the Rezin Julia on this mission with the new Gundam. As I'm making these videos, like, that is the Rezin Julia final battle is, I think, pretty much a consistent from the what video does she kind of make an appearance in? The new Gundam video. So from the new Gundam video really through the this video and the next one, I think she'll be a consistent up until like maybe the Gather Road video. I can't remember. I haven't watched that video through and through, so I don't know if I think in the Gather Road video actually it's the Latreia and the new Gundam that I take, so maybe this is the last video where she's featured, but she definitely is featured in this video. I think she stays throughout the entire, I think both of these partners I went to the end of this video, but I felt it was appropriate for the last video, and I definitely feel like it was appropriate for this video. I'll try to touch on the missions that I do throughout the course of the video, but I really hope people can just watch it and try their best to put the pieces together. But this Gundam is unique in that I think it's safe to say it's like a new type model. I would even put the new Gundam in that category, the C Gundam. Or the Z Gundam. I think they pronounce it C. That's what I said in the last video, so I'm sticking with it. It sounds kind of weird, but I'm pretty sure that's how they pronounce it. Those are newer type models. I think, you know, as the series progressed, they tried to stay true to what the series is. Like, I'm not a Gundam nut, but just from seeing uh, how it's treated, really like all the other major games that not only that I'm playing but that are out there, it's kind of the same in that it's not, there's games, it's anime, it's they make toys. But I think with respect to how this game was made, they try to stay true to like the idea of it kind of being like a romantic. I think Gundam, even Pokemon, might have been kind of started at or around the time I was born. I know for Pokemon that might be the case, but with it being debuted around Pokemon, I know Gundam was around well before I was born, but I think in Pokemon it was, I think that's the case for Gundam, I'm not sure, but I know for Pokemon that kind of started around the time I was born. But even with that being when it was like debuted, it was probably in conception before I was born. So I only say that because things may seem weird now, but I think especially with Gundam, they try to be, it is like a romantic in that it's with the stories and you know, how they try to tell them. But this Gundam is unique because I do think it's like I think the new Gundam is a new type, but this is like, I don't know, I don't want to, I would just put it in that new type category. It's definitely different. It has the double horns, and you'll see something in his right hand. That's a beam axe. The Zaku that I fought in the very first video that I ever made of this game, when I was using the Easy 8, the full beam saber build, the enemies that you see in that video have what's called a beam axe. It's like a beam saber, but it's literally just an axe. That's what he has in his right hand. It's just an elongated version of one of those, and it's pink, obviously. And then in his left hand, he has a traditional beam saber, which, if you look closely, is very reminiscent to the RX-782. I mentioned before how the new Gundam's saber is kind of similar to the Easy-8's in that in its color and its jelly consistency, even though the new Gundam's isn't as it's longer than the Easy-8's, and it retains some of the RX-782 shape, despite it being a different color, but it is jelly, and it does seem to be more of a traditional Gundam shape. That's for the new Gundam. Gundam Latreia, I mean, the saber that's in his right hand, the beam saber, looks very similar, if not the exact same as the RX-782's does in this game. And so for that reason, I would kind of say maybe the new Gundam, the Easy-8 is to the new Gundam as Latreia is to the RX-782. That's not canon. That's part of what makes this game so unique, is like the way the break-ins work and the way that the directories are, and the uncapping mechanic to a lesser degree. You can really play this however you want. The new Gundam video was really weird for me to make, and it's kind of why I said at the beginning of this video, I felt like this was, I could say this video is the video that it was never meant to be, because, or the video that never was, because I try to play these missions in retrospect with the beam saber build, which again, that's something that I was able to pick up on. Because A, I had the time to play this game, and B, I played it with a kind of level of, I hate to say care, because it's not like I was playing it any differently than I have any other game. It's just, it had a lot to do with how this game was made, but also had to do with like you know, how I had to kind of play them after the fact, after me beating the game, obviously, because you have to beat the game in order to get this, in order to unlock the mission that even drops this blueprint. But it's weird because I don't want to say anything I've done thus far is canon. I like to say, though, I'm pretty sure people who have worked on this would probably agree that what I'm doing is the way to play these missions, but I feel bad saying that because the way this game is, even with the cutscenes and the story that are saved in the library, or I think they are, because after they're played, that's, you know, that's where they said they were. It's clear that you can play this any way you want. I could have beaten this game with the Golf Custom, and I'm sure it would have had a similar, you know, vibe, especially if I was able to pick up on how other parts work with you know, skills. But you know, even what is, like, Gundam Bale, like, I don't think it's an all-arounder, but there's so many suits in this game. That was the Gundam that was in the loading screen just now. There's so many suits in this game you can play with, and any mission it would make sense if you know, you were to play. I saw someone play the in the RX-782 video that I made, the second mission that I did, the first of the 2 DLCs that I played in that video. I saw someone playing that mission with the Burning Gundam, and but lore-wise, the Burning Gundam is kind of like the Freedom Gundam. You know, it's different from the RX-782, which may be more of a, you know, hate to say traditional suit, but you know, some of the other suits like that are in the Gundam Seed series, they're not. There's a different story that is being told there. So, you know, the Gundams that I use, a lot of them, all of them, minus the Gather Road, have beam sabers, and even he has a beam saber. You only can use it though when you're doing a down attack in the air, and it still benefits from the beam saber build. So essentially all the suits that I have use beam sabers, but and some of the other Gundams that aren't in the same kind of wavelength as Gundam Latreia and everything else that I played thus far still have sabers and do their own thing, but they're like the Burning Gundam, I think it's an end fighter, and a lot of its moves, I haven't played with it, but from what I've seen of this video that I did see of someone playing the second mission that I did in the previous, or the video before last, the very first of the DLC missions, the guy, or someone was using a Freedom Gundam, the Burning Gundam, excuse me, and it was just as fun to watch. It was on a PS5, so it looked a lot different than the videos I've uploaded thus far, but the Gundam's moveset and you know, how it attacked was fitting nonetheless. And I played that mission with the RX-782 and brought different teammates into it, but that's because I was playing it in a different way and I was trying to tell a different story. That person may have been uploading that video. I don't know why they chose that suit or did that mission, but it was still enjoyable to watch nonetheless. And it wasn't a commentary, but it was a good look at just that Gundam, and I don't know where that Gundam's featured in the series, but it was fun to watch, you know. And I'm saying all this to say, like, the only other, I did actually play with another suit briefly. It was the Gundam Vidar Kamaris. You'll see it in this video. Actually, it's a boss I'll fight later, but it's an end fighter, and part of the reason I played with it briefly in the tutorial directory is because in the mission, actually during this video, I noticed that after the beam saber build chip affects beam sabers, and obviously the beam axe that I'm using in this video with this suit. But it also affects like the boosts that come out of the Gundam. So when I actually got done making this video, I noticed the Gundam Vidar Kamaris was just going crazy, and it looks so cool to me. I mean, I'm not sure if you'll get the same kind of feel with how small it's going to appear, but when I was playing it, it was, you know, like I said, I have a pretty big TV that I play this on, big enough for me to, it looks a lot different when I play it live. And I got done with making this video, so I was like, man, like the particle effects that were coming out of that Gundam on that level, I was like, I want to see if it, I want to play with it. But I very quickly realized because it's an end fighter, I can't equip the beam saber chip build, so it still was pretty epic in its moveset, but fundamentally different than the way it looked in this video when I played it, probably because, again, the beam saber build, it'll affect everything that, you know, will show up. Enemy weapons as well, I think, and explosions and boosts, but it's Gundam Vidar Kamaris is an end fighter, like the Freedom Gundam, or I keep saying the Freedom Gundam, just like the Burning Gundam who played that DLC mission, Evil God of the Moon, and two different Gundams, I think it's safe to say. Again, I don't know what universe either one of those is from, but they are both end fighters and have a different kind of physical moveset that they do, and the Burning Gundam seems to be more of a, like, you know, what the grappler is, the DNF duel, whereas Gundam Vidar Kamaris, both of them, again, they're both end fighters, but that Gundam clearly has like a, it almost looks like what the Golf Custom has, like a machine gun in his right hand, and his left hand is empty, and his moveset when he's moving towards you. Again, kind of like when I was playing this, it looked pretty, like, epic, you know, cool enough for me to want to play with it and potentially see it, you know, if there was something else in a directory that I could play that Gundam with. Because it looked different without the beam saber build, I kind of was just like, well, not that there's no point in playing it, but I kind of wanted to stay true to just kind of build off of the whole idea of just a full beam saber in this game. So that's what I've done thus far, but that's a Gundam I really wanted to play with because of how it looked in this video. And I'm saying all this to kind of go back to my original point. Like, everything that I've done thus far in this game, it's not canon. You know, would the people who have made this game kind of agree with me that maybe that's the way they wanted it to be played? Sure. But I can say in my, like, you know, really confidently that even if you weren't using a full beam saber build, and, you know, let's just say everything I've done thus far, I did with the Gundam Vidar Kamaris in one video. Like, all the missions I've done, or any random mission for that matter, 5 or 6 random missions, and put it into one video, I don't think anyone that worked on this game, you know, would be mad. You know, even given, like, what skills and parts you decide to use, you know, it's all, it's all, like, you know, relative. Like, you know, I still can't remember what I said at the end of the first video, but that's like my vibe when it comes to this game. Like, you know, just because I'm making videos like this doesn't mean that's the way it's supposed to be. I had a lot of fun, genuinely, and that video, sadly, was in Chinese. The title was, it was actually featured on one of my videos, and I was just kind of scrolling through the feed on my video and saw it and decided to watch it, and ended up saving it to my watch later, and was watching it for like a week, like just every now and then, because I thought it was cool just seeing the Burning Gundam. you know, because it's a Gundam, it might have a saber. I think there was like a small part of its moveset where it brought one out briefly. But even being an infighter that mainly kind of seemingly punches other Gundams, and I think it like has a drop kick in his moveset, it was still fun to watch. So, you know, everything I've done, it's just a story that I've wanted to tell. You know, again, just kind of going back to like, I don't know why that popped in my head before I made this video, but it really is how I kind of feel about this. And the new Gundam, as fun as it was, and with it being a new type, and how its saber is, with the build, it really, and then going into this video and him having an elongated beam axe is all super cool, and I really like it. But it really is. It's less of a vibe in this video, maybe because Latreia, Gundam Latreia is, although he's got a beam axe, an elongated beam axe. Maybe it's the missions I play with the suit. I don't know. I did get more of a kind of like a vibe that I got when I played the RX-78 video, just more of a traditional Gundam suit vibe. For some reason, the new Gundam video, I don't know if it, you know, it just felt kind of not awkward to make, but the video, the missions I chose to play with that suit, they made sense to me. But doing a commentary over it, trying to explain why I did those missions, while also describing the suit and its capabilities, was a little bit weird, and that's probably why before I made this, the whole, like, the video that never was, slash never is, came into just like my train of thought before making this video in particular. That's kind of how things have culminated in retrospect, but I will say, as someone who didn't replay the game on hard to kind of get to level 100 to beat this game probably in a much more traditional way, going about it kind of really with the command Gundam at level 80 was, I wouldn't recommend that. I said it in the last video, and this is the last time I'll say it. Like, it's just, you know, I would have ideally liked to play this game like I played Final Fantasy XV. I think I've mentioned this. Actually, I don't think I've mentioned this. Or if I did, it was probably in one of the latter near videos that stayed on the channel for like a very short period of time before I uploaded my very first video that you see now on the channel, which is a Scarlet Nexus video. Final Fantasy XV might be one of my favorite games of all time for a multitude of reasons. I'm really into games like that, but that game I think was a masterpiece, despite it kind of suffering from what I think a lot of the gaming industries had to deal with and kind of having to deal with now. I thought that game came out masterfully, and I really hope that I didn't go into New Game Plus in that game, because I mean, the new game in that game is like, the New Game Plus in that game, or the end game in that game, is just bar none. Like, there's nothing that compares to it. I mean, the game is so masterful. Again, despite, I think, dealing with a lot of outside factors, I think Final Fantasy III, it was just, nothing compares to it. You know, the story was so magical, and then, you know, you beat the game, and with the way it is, you can go back into the main game. Like, after you beat the game, the title screen changes, kind of similar to this game. how the title screen changed, although it's not fair to compare this game to Final Fantasy XVs and the way the story's told, because they're further opposites in complex the way they're supposed to be, because they're two separate games. But the Final Fantasy XV story, in my opinion, it couldn't even... I mean, I was playing that game off camera, like, with, just getting some serious vibes, like, just playing with the weapons, and, but I thought the end game in that game was, like, there's nothing that can compare to it, because you beat Arden, the title screen changes, and they clearly give you the option of going into New Game Plus or re-entering the game. And re-entering the game, you might be thinking, like, well, what's the point of doing that? Well, there's a lot of in-game weapons that you can get, i.e. the Balmoon. Excuse me. And the dungeon that's in, what is the name of that dungeon? Is it Castle Mark? No, it's not Castle Mark. It's I can't remember. But it's the one where, like, you have to go underground, and when you look up, it's like the ceiling is like the river that you had to cross in order to go down. It's so crazy. But you know, Balmung, even the Soul Saber, like, I don't know if I think I talked about this briefly again in another video. It's not on my, clearly no longer on the channel. But like the Soul Saber, like, you know, that's one of those weapons that you can go back and get in the main game after beating the game, but before going into New Game Plus, after playing the already amazing story. And that weapon in and of itself has an effect that I'm not sure most people picked up on, but the Soul Saber in Final Fantasy XV, after I beat the game, I was kind of cosplaying with the Assassin's Creed outfit without the hood, and just put on the Soul Saber just to have fun. And I was wandering outside Hammerhead, which is where you start the game at, and I think that's where they put you out at once you enter back in the world. So I was I had like these white robes on, and I was just going out into the wild with the Soul Saber to see, you know, what the weapon was about. You know, it's very reminiscent to the, it looks exactly like the Air Step sword and the broadsword, which you can buy right off the bat if you choose to or want to. I think its description is something like the more you just hold the attack button and attack in strings, I think the more powerful the attacks get, or something of that nature for the broadsword. But you know, again, just like the broadsword and the air step sword, the Soul Saber looks just like those, but and shares a description to both of those swords, but it has a really magical effect, or at least I think it's an effect that's affiliated with that weapon, because as soon as I went out into the wild, I'll never forget these two like really high level machines. I remember them being way over my level, kind of dropped from an enemy ship. You have to forgive me, I don't remember like, you know, what the names of some of the factions were in that game, but and it was pure white. It was clearly like a high level, and I had never seen anything like that before, and I'm pretty sure it's not affiliated with going back into the game without having started New Game Plus, because I did that without the Soul Saber, and I never saw another machine like that again. But when I fought it after it spawned, while I was holding the Soul Saber, that thing would not take any damage, and I actually ended up having to run away from it. And I saw another one that came down again while I was holding the Soul Saber, and it was low enough for me to at least damage it enough to the point where I could destroy it. But that first one that I saw, and really the second one to a lesser degree, were enemy units I hadn't seen in that game before, and really kind of like a side effect of the Soul Saber. I actually kind of want to see what the description of all three of those weapons are, since they do look the same. So the description of the broadsword, which is the shares is kind of in that. category of weapons is the Soul Saber as far as how it looks in game. One of the first swords that you can buy in Final Fantasy XP and Hammerhead, I think. Its description is a robust and versatile one-handed weapon that makes it easier to land critical blows when attacking in succession. And then the next kind of sword that you can get that shares a similar model as that one is the Airstep sword. And its description is, let me see. Light and lively, this one-handed sword reduces the magic power of Marcus's aerial maneuvers. And I'll look at the Soul Sabers real quick, and then I'll kind of cap off where I was going with this. The Soul Saber's description is a most unusual blade that strikes foes with greater force as a wielder's stamina flags. Again, a weapon that you get after beating the game, but before hitting a new game plus. Again, after playing through one of the most, I mean, could it have been better on certain levels? I'm sure, but even going there with a game like that, I feel is like just not the right thing to do. Period. But just magical weapons that you get at the beginning, middle, and kind of end of the game. I really wish I would have gotten to play through, New Game Plus with them. Kind of just seeing them and all the other amazing weapons in that game. Again, I had on like the white robes, like the Assassin's Creed outfit without the hood, so he still retained that Noctis vibe. It was an experience I wish that I'll never forget. Speaking of favorite games, I definitely don't know if I've mentioned this, but I'll say it now. It's kind of how a lot of these games and I think industries are trying to keep up with just, the times. I do think Pokemon Ultra Sun, I put that right up there as well. It's a little bit different of a Pokemon game. I think that whole series, there's a lot of Pokemon games I haven't played. I guess a better way for me to put it was I've only played like Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald in their entirety. I owned all three of those versions. Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So everything in between and after I haven't played, and I've actually kind of expelled on. I would put Pokemon Ultra Sun up there as well. I don't know what the third game would be, but Ultra Sun and Moon and Final Fantasy XP for me were really special games. But to kind of cap off where I was going with the Final Fantasy XP thought, unlocking this suit was hard, but a similar feeling to when I got Sword of the Father in Final Fantasy XP, which, if you don't know, whereas the Soul Saber might have the effect of spawning, these straight up white, Gravis-esque, massive kind of machines. Some of which you can kill, some of which literally you can only just do like one damage to, or it seems as if that's what you can do. The Sword of the Father's kind of inherent effect was, it was like a hard mode switch, clearly. I have no proof on that, but it was, the game seemed to have changed in a drastic way with how the enemies would attack and move once you equip that weapon. I had a similar experience with the Rune Saber, the Javelin, the Cutlasses, and the War Sword. and you use those in conjunction with each other, all four of those weapons. I felt like the game played in a similar way to when it did whenever I had the Sword of the Progress trailer equipped, but when I unlocked Gundam Latreia, very heavy, like Sword of the Progress by in terms of me just wanting to play this game with the suit and use a Gundam that had an elongated beam axe that I worked really hard to get. It was something I really was proud and kind of happy to do. Speaking about some of my favorite games, I wanted to, maybe this video is kind of like an appropriate time to do this. I think Revival is in this mission. I'm not sure if I fought him yet. I don't think I have. But before I get to that part, I'll try to hold on to it. I forget it. I did want to mention Revival, by the way, is a boss that was he was in the, I believe, the third mission I played in the new Gundam video, and he was just had a similar suit to the one I just beat. I think he's in this mission as well. With how break-ins and missions work in this game, you have to just kind of believe, play the game how you want and interpret it how you want. There's no right or wrong way to play it, but he's got a pretty cool quote in this game, and he's featured in this mission. But where I was going with this is there's an optional boss in this game named Rezin Schnyder, or in this mission in particular. I don't know too much about the lore of the series. I think this is Revival. Yeah. Fun fight, and I really love his quote at the beginning of this fight. I think after you beat this Revival, there's an optional area in this map that I go to, and normally Rezin Schnyder will be there with a bunch of other Gundams. If you beat her, she has a chance to drop the final new, or for me it was the final new Gundam blueprint. For some reason when I did this mission, she did not appear, and instead when I went in the area where she normally spawns, there was just an item box. I'm not sure if that's because I unlocked the new Gundam or because of everyone I took into this mission, which is the new Gundam and the Julia Regenway's final battle. This is the last video that I think she makes an appearance, but I'm not sure why that is. I don't know. I'm not sure if it was because I did this mission with Latreia and the new Gundam and the Regenways, or because I already unlocked the new Gundam, which is why she didn't show up. But you just kind of literally go in this circle area, and she'll normally either spawn or just be there. I don't remember which of the two it is, but she'll be in that area. At the end of this mission, when I go in there, there's just an item box. I don't know why that's the case. But I just wanted to mention that before it happened, because talking about my favorite games, one thing that came to mind that I feel like it's kind of an appropriate time to talk about it. Not that there's anything, not that I don't have anything to talk about as far as this video is concerned, but I did want to kind of clear the air up on some of the Pokemon stuff. Some of the earlier videos, for anyone that may be confused about some of the things that I've actually liked in the past, I kind of, in my most recent play file, Ultra Sun and Moon, kind of had a Steven Stone like roleplay, and in that, towards the end of the post game, I think before I beat the Elite Four though, maybe at around the time I was beating them, I went to the village where there's a Steelix where you can go through. It's like, it's kind of similar to the village in Emerald where there's like, it's made up of what seems to be like floating wood. And there's a Pokemon Center there and a place to eat in Ultra Sun and Moon, but it's very similar to that village, which is kind of close to the where you can climb that tower to get to Rayquaza and Emerald. There's a Steelix, and if you go through and fish, I have a nice Steel team with a couple of fossil Pokemon. Identical to Steven Stone's team, save for my Registeel. I fished up like this level 13 Gyarados that was hasty in nature. I ended up wonder trading it away, but I'm convinced it was like this Charizard, not Charizard that I have that's timid in nature, and I think they're both inherently adept in potentially producing shiny Pokemon at a higher rate than normal, which for anyone in the shiny hunter is trying to breed through breed a shiny, those little things matter. And I don't have any proof that, you know, timid nature Charizard or an under-leveled, hasty level 13 Gyarados are more adept at producing a shiny Pokemon via breeding, but it was something that happened when I was trying to share that, not only with some of the people at Pokemon, but with my audience. And through liking some videos on the official Pokemon channel and some other videos, but that was the first thing. And then the second discovery I made after actually I caught my shiny Beldum was so the level 13 hasty Charizard I fished up while having kind of like a fossil Steel team, after going through the Steelix in Ultra Sun. This is that place where Rezin Schnyder was spawned. But that I got the level 13 Gyarados that was hasty in nature from the fishing spot through the Steelix that you can get to in Ultra Sun and Moon. The timid nature Charizard was just a regular Charizard that I caught via island scan, and it was the first female Charizard that just came, and I caught her, and she was timid in nature, and she wasn't, you know, that Gyarados was level 13, which is an anomaly in and of itself, but it did have a peculiar nature, and this female Charizard that I caught via the island scan just had a nature that I felt was peculiar given the circumstances, and was just a regular Charizard I caught after using the island scan. So that was kind of like the first thing that I shared with respect to the whole Pokemon thing. The second was actually after I caught the shiny Beldum. By this time I had already beaten the Elite Four, but I hadn't done the Rainbow Rocket stuff, which is kind of like the equivalent to the post game Ultra Sun and Moon. So I'd done that with the shiny Metagross, which I now have. Metagross. I like to say Metagross. Excuse me. So I completed Team Rainbow Rocket with my shiny Metagross, and was just kind of I don't know, it was kind of like similar things when I caught that level 13 Gyarados. There was no reason for me to be fishing in that spot through the Steelix and Ultra Sun and Moon, other than it was just I really enjoyed playing that game. It's, I think, fundamentally different than some of the traditional Pokemon games that I grew up playing, and really got me attached to the series. But even with all that said, Ultra Sun and Moon is right behind Final Fantasy XV in terms of my favorite video games that I've played. Period, really. But this is Kamaris, Gundam Kamaris Vidar. After I made this video, but it was this fight in particular, you know, with the way this Gundam is, and with the way the beam saber had its beam engine, making it look. I played it in the tutorial briefly. Didn't quite look the same as it does right now, but this is still a really cool suit. It's an infighter, but its move set is inherently different than like the Burning Gundam, which I think is just all the more reason why this game is just so cool. Because, like I said, even without the beam saber effect that you're seeing on this Gundam that I'm fighting right now, fighting against right now, I would still happily take this Gundam into Gundam Mars Vidar that I'm fighting. I would happily take that main mission and still have like a really good time playing with it. Just because it's kind of up my alley in terms of how, you know, Gundams I kind of would want to play with. But I said in the RX-782 video, there really isn't a Gundam in this game that, you know, on a perfect day I wouldn't just want to play with, but this just kind of happened to be what I was working towards. But for anyone that may be wondering what I'd be doing in this game in my free time, playing with this Gundam that you're seeing right now that I'm fighting against, and any other mission, minus the beam saber effect you're saying with it now, I would still be, that's kind of like the stuff I would be doing. You know, playing missions in my free time, just seeing how it fares against the, you know, different missions, but, and probably taking it online, seeing, you know, how other people would want to play with that suit. I mean, it's just, that's kind of how cosplaying works in games, period. Even in Bloodborne, I mean, I'm sure there's still people out there that are playing Bloodborne like that, but I mean, you run into people who, to the naked eyes, it might not seem this way to the gaming community because Bloodborne is a masterpiece in its own right, but like, it's easy for anyone to look at Bloodborne and be like, why? Like why would I? But playing that game, especially, like, I remember in the Hunter's Nightmare, or the area where you fight Ludwig the Hearst, when that first came out, like the night that came out, I was playing PvP in that area, and that was something else. I was using that saw cleaver that'll break like into the sword that like Renji uses in Bleach. Oh man, it was crazy. And then when I got tired of PvPing, I would go in there and fight Lydia or just help people fight him. That was crazy. But I say all this because like it's easy to look at things like Bloodborne if you haven't played it, and probably similarly how people might see this game and be like, why? But this Gundam that you're seeing on your screen right now is a perfect example of a suit that I would either play with by myself, or play online with other people and do it happily and try to you know, see what's there. But I didn't want to mention that when I brought them. So all the Gundams that I've uploaded on the channel, Command Gundam and RGM-79 and the Gundam Mars Vidar, those are all the suits I played with. I know it seems like I'm adding suits here and there, but those are pretty much literally the only suits that I played with in the Gather Road, which is a video that I hope to make if I'm able to make this one successfully. But going back to Pokemon Ultra Sun, so like kind of discovering via island scan and fishing in peculiar spots with a Steven Stone team, and discovering adept Pokemon that may be more prone to breeding shinies was the first kind of discovery, and the second one was one that I made after I caught the shiny Beldum with a Dugong that I got in the Pokepelago after just kind of attending to it for however long I was throughout the course of me creating the Steven Stone play file. I was, you know, had scanned enough QR codes to do an island scan. It was kind of looking at the list of potential Pokemon that I would either catch and try to breed a shiny, or I would just straight up try to use an island scan and see if I could spawn a shiny. And I thought Rotom might be a cool one. If I got a shiny, that would be cool to share. So I island scanned for it, and I think like maybe 2 or 3 other Pokemon came up before a shiny Lickitung, or maybe the shiny Lickitung was the first Pokemon that showed up, but I did catch it. And after kind of looking at its moveset the same way I did the way the Dugong looked after I caught the shiny Beldum, but looking at it in the same way but differently, and just Lickitung as a Pokemon, its shiny sprite with it being kind of golden, and likening Lily to Magarnia, and just that whole game in general, evolving it after a new rollout, which it didn't at the level I caught it at, because that area has like pretty high level Pokemon, level 56 to, you know, just in that area. It hadn't known rollout, so I had to use a heart scale to make it relearn it, and Wonder traded it away like I did my level 13 Hasty Gyarados, but I thought it was a kind of like an Easter egg, really, like the 2 other discoveries. I thought it was shiny Beldum in that discovery category as well, with respect to just there being kind of like Easter eggs in that game. You know, so the Adept Pokemon, the shiny Beldum, and the Dugong, and then Lickitung, and subsequently Licky, which I think is the point of its evolution, were all kind of Easter eggs. And nothing I say I've done as far as like canon, although I'm pretty sure it could be true. Shiny Lickitung and its correlation with how I roleplayed the game, everything that came out of that, the Steven Stone roleplay, it really did add up, especially with, I haven't played Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I really want to, and I'm not just saying I really want to, but I really, you know, playing games like this, and it's really still enjoyable. There's a lot of YouTubers that are making videos on that, with albeit playthroughs or shiny hunting methods for starters, and I've tried to watch as much as I can up until now, but with Steven Stone as a character, and me how I cosplayed that and discovered the shiny Lickitung after island scanning for Rotom, and Scarlet and Violet as games coming out after Ultra Sun and Moon. You know, is Miraidon, which is the legendary associated with the Violet version, is it Steven Stone's reflection of presumably the Rotom decks that he had going into the wormhole with, you know, Lance, who's another Elite Four champion during these tumultuous times in the Pokemon universe? You know, is it Steven Stone infused with the Rotom decks who would like to be a Pokemon similar to, you know, the Lickitung that he revealed to you after island scanning for it, you know, in the post game? You know, is Miraidon a reflection of Skarmory, Rotom, and Steven Stone? I don't know that is the case. I don't know if Koraidon is, you know, Champion Lance's, you know, is Deoxys Ghetsis Sis reflection after taking a Mega Rayquaza through an Ultra Wormhole? You know, I don't know. Is Miraidon to Steven Stone what Koraidon is to Lance, what Deoxys is to Getsus. I don't know if those are facts. You know, I'm just kind of trying to connect the dots in my own head. They seem to make sense to me. Maybe these are things other people don't know about or would not necessarily should accept or like should start to acknowledge, because that's just, you know, people have a right to do what they want, but like, you know, I guess the best way to say it is people should, you know, put the pieces to the puzzle together how they see fit. You know, I've connected the dots how I have seen them thus far. I'd like to think things are a certain way, given everything that I've worked on thus far, and other people have as well. Is it right or wrong? I don't know. Is it canon? I don't know. Is it fun to think about? Sure. You know, I would like to see that universe in that way, that I'm just one player. Scarlet and Violet is definitely interesting. Maybe they can, in the future, make like a Pokemon Legends Arceus, but kind of in the other direction, while trying to move the franchise kind of back to where it started. But you know, that doesn't have to be like something like an immediate clean slate. Like, you know, they can make a transition, just like how Pokemon Arceus was made. And I think a lot of people enjoyed that game, but trying to take it back in like the other direction, you know, sure they can, but I think maybe a good starting point would be people kind of realizing or you know, contemplating some of that stuff lore-wise, whilst like continuing to play and enjoy the game, which I think people are. I think the only reason Pokemon and even Final Fantasy to a lesser extent has taken a turn the way they have is just because there's like a fan base there, but I think some of the people that are working on the games that want to tell us, you know, their story are kind of outmatched, or are trying to are having to keep up with a fan base that may not be spending as much time in that space as the people who are making the games. That's probably the best way to put it, but I don't think it's you know, a bad thing. I just think it's something that everyone's having to deal with. But I did kind of want to talk about or try to clear the air as best I can on some of the Pokemon stuff for people who may not have been able to kind of follow what I was, you know, liking or trying to share. But you know, that's it more or less. You know, I'd like to get the Scarlet and Violet, but I really want to make these this video and the next one kind of rewatch them. I mean, I've worked hard to get to this point, and I kind of want to watch these videos. That you know, playing this and I just kind of like the space that I'm in now. And it's not that I don't want to play Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I mean, just like how I had that Burning Gundam video saved and I'll watch later playlist for a while. Like, you know, I may not save some of the Pokemon walkthroughs, but that doesn't mean that I don't have, like, you know, certain YouTubers or just people who I rent, who I just happen to stumble across that make walkthroughs on those games, whose videos I don't watch, like really watch. You know, so that in conjunction with playing things like this is why I'll probably never get to Scarlet and Violet, but that doesn't mean, like, you know, what I think of the Pokemon series and, you know, trying to make, you know, videos and playing games like this doesn't mean anything. It's just kind of how I view things, but I want to finish that off by saying that it's really is so fun to watch other people enjoy those games. Like, you know, I'll continue to try to make content, like, for as long as I can, but I really do say that and mean it. Like, I want to play the newer Pokemon games. Don't think I'll get to it. But it's still really enjoyable as someone who is like a fan of that series to watch people enjoy the newer games, despite being a little bit different. You know, it's kind of how I've seen Pokemon, but maybe that's not fair because even from when I was a kid, they have steadily progressed. I'm just saying maybe how like Pokemon Elite Green was maybe Pokemon's way of trying to not move away from Ruby and Sapphire, but just take the direction back to its roots while kind of getting people to understand what that was to begin with is how they can move forward in the future. But having said all that, still having a really fun time just seeing people play the newer games, albeit, you know, people shiny hunting, or just making walkthroughs. It is fun to see. But this mission is really fun. All the missions I've done thus far take place in different points, feature different a variety of enemies, and I probably say this mission and the next one are like the most fun missions, like not in the game, but that I got to play, especially with the suit. Just a lot of enemies to fight and really show off the Gundam Latreia. I hate that I haven't been able to focus the last video, especially in this video, to a lesser degree on the missions that I play. I mean, it really is kind of hard to elaborate on that while talking about some of the things I want to talk about, but I really advise people to just kind of maybe take a minute and just kind of look at the Gundams that I'm making the gameplay videos around, and literally the missions that I do, and hopefully maybe that in addition to checking out some of the stuff you don't know, maybe researching some of those Gundams, or not even doing all that, just like, you know, I hate to say paying attention, but just like watching the video, you can, I've tried this far to make it, I've tried to make it make sense, and hopefully it does, but I don't, you know, it's kind of hard to talk about, like, you know, why I chose to do the missions I did. Hopefully the enemy AI and the Gundams I play with will make it easier to understand. But the Beam Axe, I mean, heavy soul father vibes. You know, not only with the Beam Axe, which is kind of like I'm not a Gundam nut. I'm not a Pokemon nut. I'm not a Final Fantasy nut. But I mean, I think it's safe to say that the beam axe is like what the beam saber is to the Federation, or like what the beam saber is to some of the Gundams that are in the 0080 and 8th MS Team universe. It's like what the beam saber is to the Zaku is like what the what the beam axe is to the Zaku is what the beam saber is to just like the RX-78, like and the RGM-79 and the EZ-8. Like it's just they have beam sabers and the Zaku have beam axes. Seeing a Gundam that has not only a beam axe but like an elongated beam axe. And it is what it is. It's pink. It's awesome. Can't really. That's all I gotta say about it. It's. The Gundam Latreia, when you're fighting it throughout the course of the game, whenever it's not fused with another machine, its moveset is very elegant. It's about 2 to 3 moves. It's about 2 to 3 swings longer than everything you've seen in this video. Obviously, he has that move where he will dash from one place to another while he's in the air and shoots. The weapons that he has, like he's got those wings, I think, can turn into like blasters, which is his L1, I think. His R1. His wings that turn into blasters, I think, is his R1. Excuse me. I think his L1 is the teleport, and his R2. He has what look to be like 2 submachine guns, but they shoot like pistols, although he holds them like pistols, despite them looking like submachine guns. He has a move as when you're fighting him as a boss, where he'll fly from like spot to spot to spot while he's in the air, and he shoots his guns at you, but they clearly seem to be like shooting like submachine guns as opposed to like pistols, like you use it after you unlock the suit. His moveset as a boss has got about 2 or 3 or more swings in his regular melee animation. I think he might be slightly structurally bigger. He has a similar move to when you hold down square and he does like the spinning move and exerts the beam energy to like the row shape, but he does that same exact move without spinning. But I've got to say, after playing with this suit, actually I still like his moveset as a boss way more, and for good reason, but it's still really cool seeing him have that beam axe in the right hand, and then the beam saber in the left hand, and then in the middle of his moveset, he's kind of got the beam saber facing. He's kind of got the beam saber like where he's like almost using it as if he's propping himself up before slamming the beam axe down on the enemy to conclude the third or the second part of his. There's 3 swinging animations in this moveset, and I'm piloting the suit. At the end of the second one, the beam saber, he's like almost propelling himself up with the beam saber energy before he slams down with the beam axe. I mean, yeah, his moveset as a boss is way more. It's cooler because he can do more things, but that's not to say that his moveset when you unlock him as a suit isn't as doesn't retain that Gundam vibe of just being like almost like a knight. think that trophy's affiliated for like a certain number of revives, which ironically I got just there. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much some of the stuff I wanted to clear the air of. I think this is the end of this mission. The next one is really, really fun, especially to play with at this level with this suit. I do die a lot more than I would have liked. Thankfully, both my allies were high enough level to where, even though they were getting hit, it appeared as if they weren't sustaining any damage, but it did make them reviving me like just more like I died more than I would have liked to. Even in this video, I think I went down like more than I would have liked, but it's still pretty cool to just yeah, play the game in this way. That's the way I saw the new Gundam video. I mean, yeah, I could have leveled that suit up a little bit more, and I didn't die nearly as much in that video as I do in this video. More particularly, even the mission before this one, I think I went down a couple more times, but I think it really went well. Last video for the new Gundam and this video for Gundam Latreia, but yeah, the next mission kind of takes place in a similar area. It's not like the previous mission with the future reward in Tekadon, where they clearly, I mean, other than the enemies and the bosses are the exact same location, they just appear to be taking place at different points in time. This mission and the next mission, I forgot their names, but they appear to be taking place in the same like rocky area. This mission is probably my favorite one that I'm about to do with this suit in this video out of all the ones that I've done, because of the lighting, and you actually have a radar, although with the way the enemies are scattered throughout the level, you can pick and choose where you want to go. I mean, it's at your discretion as a player, because enemies appear to be spawning all over the radar, and there's no clear direction in which way to go, and which way is the right way to go. It was more so the case probably in the previous mission, even though we didn't have a radar, and ironically we've got a radar in this mission, but it doesn't really kind of matter with the way it is. And, I don't know where Gundam Latreia has looked best thus far. I think in the very first mission, when you're in the city fighting with a beam axe, it looked, maybe not just as good as it looks here, because every enemy moves in a different way, and every level is different. It was really enjoyable playing in the city earlier, with some buildings that seemingly will fall due to revolution, in contrast to others that won't. But the lighting and the way the enemies are moving in this mission with the beam axe, maybe this one has a slight edge of all the ones I've done this far, but it's all really cool. The Gather Rose video, which I was about to say I don't want to kiss and tell, but that's not really a kiss and tell situation. That's just a video I haven't made yet that I want to make. uh, he does. You only really get to see his beam saber during the very, very last part of the very last mission, but although he has what appear to be probably more like real acting, like automated pistols as opposed to the SMGs that this suit has that fire more like traditional pistols, in contrast to his boss version, which maybe he has a switch that kind of change the mode on his weapons. They are actually black and white, the guns that he has. In the artwork at least, they appear that way in game. Maybe that's something you can do. But the Gather Road, I mean, yeah, you only get a small glimpse of his saber, but it's still fun to use his guns. And beam saber effect does seem to apply to him as well. So, like I said, Gundam Latreia in this setting was fun to play and pretty fun to watch. Making the commentary. Switched up the avatar, obviously, from when I made the Lost Epic video. That was a stream. When I stream, I don't have it set up to where I can actively click a mic without some just straight up audio issues. But and I was gonna see if I could just explain audio issues, but I don't want to do that. There's no reason to. I wasn't lying when I said I can't stream this way and have audio, which is what I'm doing now, but they're clearly doing a different product, which is kind of why my avatar has changed. This PlayStation avatar did cost some money. I'm not sure if it was 99 cents or $1.99, but you have to pay for it, which wasn't a problem. It's got a pretty cool name affiliated with it too. I don't remember. Maybe it's something like Aiden the Crusader. But I did feel the need to switch up the avatar from A2, which is what you see in the top right corner of the Lost Epic video. I do try my best, even from Scarlet Nexus video up until now. Everything that I've said or everything that's going on in the descriptions, I do try to kind of make sense of things. And I was being honest when I said I can't stream this way and have audio, but that's kind of why this video looks the way it does, in contrast to the Lost Epic. I.e. the screen size and the avatars and even the thumbnails to a lesser degree, but I am trying to keep making videos if I can. I never really felt pressure or the need to upload, but if I can, I'm going to do it. So, the thumbnail for this video I think is going to be pretty cool. The first video is a Violet thumbnail. The second video is a sword art thumbnail. The video before this one is going to have a Final Fantasy XP Online logo as the thumbnail. I think this one's gonna have, I found a really cool Gundam Latreia artwork. The Gather Road one's probably gonna be even cooler, so after it's all said and done, I think I'll have it pretty cool. See thumbnails for the videos I've made thus far, but I did have one viewer in the previous stream that kind of popped in for a little bit. It's always cool to see people come through. I've never been the type of person to stream and then have a ton of people drop in. I forgot when they came in and we done a video, but I saw them coming in now. I think maybe someone dropped in earlier. I wasn't really paying attention like that with all the stuff I was trying to talk about, but I do remember when this person came in kind of right around this normal time. I do remember going down and not being able to play things in here. It is what it is. It's not something like overly serious, but when I got back up and doing what I'm doing now, I do remember kind of being like, I hope whoever's watching is enjoying the stream, you know what I mean? Like, as someone who doesn't have that many people come through, anytime someone does, I hope they're having a good time. I think in the past, I don't know, it just doesn't happen, man. So when this person came through, I hope they're here now. I think they may leave earlier, and then I'm not sure if it's them that comes back or someone else, but I think someone else comes through again from now until the time at the end of this video. So always cool to see that happen, but with the way that the video gets made, it all still happens, but it is weird kind of making a commentary over the live stream. I don't want to say it defeats the purpose of how the live stream works, but you know, it's kind of cool to see things like that. So it's almost because of the live stream effect. I definitely would prefer to play it where it's full screen. Maybe on a newer gen console, a little bit different, but I mean, I can't complain. Even shiny hunting and sharing something like the shiny Belgian in a game like Pokemon Ultra Sun when the Switch is out, I think is still pretty cool. And not to do and share, but when something like that happens, you get a chance to you know, kind of be a beacon for other people in the community who are also making content. You know, which is cool to see. Because even in Pokemon, that's one of the cool things. Like, I have these videos that are featured on that video. For me, even as someone who's made that video and just goes back and watches it casually, either to see the video or to see other stuff that's going on. That's actually how I came across some of the videos that I've actually liked. Are just videos that have either been featured on that video, or that have been featured on that video. But it's cool because, like, there's people that are making content in a myriad of ways that I've seen through that video, and there's also those people who have made walkthroughs that haven't been featured on that video, or to me at least. And as someone who made that video and just is a part of that community, even if I hadn't published something like that, getting a chance to see kind of like, you know, the videos through my video and things like the walkthroughs of current games and past games that I haven't played that aren't featured on my video. It's just more of how excuse me, how as a fan, how I get to enjoy the Pokemon space and even the RPG to a lesser extent space through even my Scarlet Nexus demo playthrough. Even though it's not a live, even though, you know, I'm not talking over something like that, I still get a chance to not only see my video, but what else is going on in the JRPG community. So, you know, that's been pretty cool. I really had, I gotta say, I had fun bringing the Rezin Schnyder on as a partner in the previous video, and even in this video. I think she's an interesting suit. It was cool kind of seeing her iteration as a Julia Regenlay's final battle versus the suit that'll break in the last mission I played was a new Gundam. Just seeing her as a straight Julia Regenlay's final battle in this video. She's a pretty high level, and since a lot of the missions I do are earlier director missions and just missions I'm running on normal, with her in that suit and her being a high level, it couldn't have scaled more beautifully, and that's kind of how everything is played out in this game thus far. I mean, even from me kind of making the very first video and everything leading up until this video, I mean, it couldn't have come together more beautifully, but that's just, again, with kind of how I approached it with is being a Saber player. You know, I enjoy other people who make content on this game. I enjoy the content that gets shared through me making, uploading this video, albeit through gameplays. Which I don't know if that's the correct term for people who kind of build toys of not just Gundams but other stuff. But it's all like, you know, relative in my eyes. So but it was fun seeing the Julia Regenlay's kind of have her moments to shine, but with her being like almost like a Gundam trainee, and how I'm bringing her along in some of these missions with you know, different, you know, more with pilots from older generations and newer generations from, to a lesser extent. You know, I think when they're not piloting the new Gundam, but are bringing him in a mission, like there's like a future version of Amuro who's clearly looks different than he does and was piloting the RX-782, and I thought that was pretty cool. Just kind of speaks to how like breaks work in this game, where like almost like disruptions in the universe, which is what this whole game is based around. Really kind of like a you build and make your own adventure going about playing this game. I will say, since I've got some time, it was fun playing with Latreia, bringing the Julia Regenlay's into these past couple videos. And the Exam's Last Stand, kind of as I was alternating between that and the bottom of the gravity well, before realizing that the bottom of the gravity well is just probably not the best way to boost your levels. Kind of high enough to challenge Gundam Latreia used iterations of Thomas Mercury in the post game, but grinding out Zam's last stand and kind of getting it closer with the Big Zam as a character. I'm assuming that's the name of the boss in that mission. And the name of the Gundam that you fight is pretty cool. Story-wise and talking about this game in particular being like a romantic with the persistent night theme and how you got these pilots that are waging war in what appear to be suits that I'm sure are carry weight in the Gundam universe and make those who are piloting them and the missions they go on all the more important. Big Zam's last stand mission, I did start to get kind of like a romantic vibe from him as a character. Not that he was giving me like a Hunchback of Notre Dame kind of vibe, and that he was like this guy who was just, I mean, it wasn't like he was deformed in any way, shape, or form, but he did kind of have like almost like the antithesis of who Norris Patrick is as a character, is almost who like Big Zam is. And the Big Zam's last stand mission, he's actually piloting this Gundam that's about, if I had to scale it, probably 10 times bigger than a traditional Gundam, and it doesn't have any arms, it just has these legs with clear claws at the bottom. You know, just put the nail in the coffin as to what that Gundam is trying to portray, because every Gundam clearly is has like a I mean, every Gundam is different, and Big Zam, the Gundam that Big Zam was piloting in Big Zam's last stand is no different. And maybe the Hunchback of Notre Dame is not a fair comparison. I don't know why that came to mind. Or actually, I do. I haven't played that mission over and over and over again. But if I had to liken him, like Big Zam, if that's his name, I'm assuming it is. He is like the exact antithesis of who Norris Patrick is, and grinding that mission out on a moon, and that mission in its entirety is, I definitely got like this romantic vibe, which is odd because he is not a romantic kind of character. Maybe someone you can like in Thomas Mercury and Char I want to say Aznavour, but I think it's Aznavour. It's spelled Aznavour, but at least how the Japanese characters in this game, more specifically the girl with the headband, we'll say it, she clearly, or at least to me, pronounces it like Char Aznavour, but you know, Hermes Mercury, Char Aznavour, they clearly look at and pilot these Gundams in these romantic-esque missions and scenarios. The Big Zam's last stand, I got that vibe with the Gundam, pilot, and mission setting that would not give up. All three of those things in unison not, or should not have given me like a romantic vibe. But the more and more I grinded out that mission to level up high enough to challenge or get a Gundam to beat the game and take him to the post game, which for me was the Command Gundam, the more and more I got a romantic vibe, which is odd because, again, Big Zam, his Gundam, the mission, none of which really have like a romantic excuse me. sorry. Hope it wasn't too loud. You know, you don't think of it that way when you first play through it. Definitely. I mean, I don't know. I just the more and more I was grinding out that mission, the more and more I was like, felt like the exam was giving me that kind of feel. You know, he was even when he was kind of defeated, it was like here. And with the Gundam he's piloting, and like Char is like a antagonist conglomerate in this game. I don't know how to classify them. And with them being the bad guys, he was it was cool to kind of see him have this like if anyone remember playing, like the only kind of vibe I can liken it to, and even this is a stretch, but it's probably the closest thing I can compare it to, is what was his name? I think it was Lloyd in Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. You know, he Fire Emblem. What was his name? No, it's not Lloyd. Let me search Fire Emblem Gehenna and see what comes up. I know he was from Gehenna. Carlisle. Yes, Carlisle and Big Zam. You know, picture Carlisle from Fire Emblem to a character completely opposite of Norris Packard in the Gundam universe. And completely opposite to Carlisle in looks from the Fire Emblem universe, but the same story to Lion that's being told in the Gundam universe. That is who Big Zam is in this game. And the more, you know, when I was done grinding out his mission after, you know, getting Command Gundam to where he needed to be before trying to beat the game, that was the vibe I went into, given everything that I had done up until the Latreia video. And obviously from that moment in time, even before I got to unlock Gundam Latreia, there was a lot that I had to do and ultimately did, but that was a vibe that I got, and I thought something to be kind of worth mentioning in this video, and hopefully something people can you know, understand, especially, you know, maybe some older people who played Sacred Stones and remember who Carlisle was, if that's his name, even though I just had to Google it. Yeah, Carlisle. Let me click on his name just to make sure that's him. Yeah, that's him. His quote is, "The first time I met you 20 years ago now, I saw you in the garden of this very palace, and I was bewitched. Your pale beauty far surpassed that of any flower. I was in the grips of an unforgivable desire. You were the wife of my king, to whom I had sworn life and loyalty. I told myself a grand lie that day. I told myself I could be happy simply serving you as your most loyal knight." That's pretty much who Big Zam is to the Gundam universe, despite him being you know, the polar opposite in terms of not only looks, but to other people who are on his same kind of side of the fence, you know, when it comes to the Gundam. But yeah, I had a lot of fun making this video. I hope people got a good look at just everything that Gundam Latreia is. And hope they enjoyed and were able to kind of pick up on some of the talking points that I was able to get to. So, as always, thank you.